we're back with this remarkable game between David Eggleston and Vidit Gujrati, where right at this early stage, David sacrificed a piece on g5. I just want to get up to date with these moves. It's the first time we've seen it, but it's a fascinating game.
It is.
So let's see how far we've got. So this has all been played. We've seen these moves before. Bishop d5 played. I guess he wants to switch the knight here and then to e3.
Makes sense. And the question was whether this piece sacrifice on g5, will it be a very brave and great decision, or it's more of a gamble and it won't work out. He's got 2 pawns and some initiative.
Watch what happens next, Anna.
Whoa, with his sacrifices his queen!
Very interesting. So now black has 3 minor pieces for the queen. So 2 bishops and knight for the queen. And these rooks have moved over into the attack. Well, I'm loving this. That's my first impression. I really like the way that Vidit has played this. This could be a way to take the initiative and really have a go at white's king. Very good stuff. Let's go to the analysis board. Okay, so what happens if I play... I was going to say play the normal move knight e3, but straight away rook takes pawn is on the cards. If I play g3, then I guess king f8.
Could be the ideas, so that you open the g5 for the rook, rook takes h4 as a threat, bishop g4 could come as well, bishop h3. So many possibilities for black, and now it is black who is attacking.
I'm loving this for black.
Yes, I think it was a great idea to sacrifice the queen.
I'm just wondering whether David needed to allow this. I mean, maybe this whole idea with bishop d5 is flawed in that case. Fascinating stuff.
So it's 3 minor pieces for the queen and the initiative for black.
I mean, will he just have to give up this pawn and play knight e3? But it certainly, white's possibilities don't look like such a big deal here. I mean, maybe we can try and play solidly. Can one play solidly in this position? I'm too late for that.
And at the same time, we see on the camera the other main game of the day. It could be the game of the day if Ronak Sadhwani manages to beat Vishy Anand. He sacrificed a pawn. He's playing in a very brave way, not exchanging queens, not going for the material, but instead keeping up the initiative and the attack against the former world champion.
We should. Okay, so we think, let's just recap.
Yes, certainly.
We think Vidit's doing pretty well. Let's go to Anand's game and try to get up to speed with that one, but it looks to us as though Vishy could be in serious trouble. Rook b8 is on the board. I was looking at rook b7, but rook b8 also extremely dangerous. Queen b5 check in the air, knight a5 in the air. We've got queen b7 as well. My goodness, Vishy under massive pressure in this position.
How can he bail out? What's a way to try to trade pieces?
I'm afraid I don't see any trade in the air at all. Queen b5 check. I think this is the massive threat here. To save the rook, I mean, obviously rook c6, this kind of self-pin would lose pretty quickly to a knight a5. So that's the big threat.
How does it feel when you have this position on the board against a 13-year-old boy from the same country who must have started chess because of your chess career? Now you're facing him, you're suffering in this position, and then he stands up from the board.
Vishy has produced
a beast.
A Frankenstein. Frankenstein and an Einstein, all in one. And he's facing him. Oh, this is tough. Okay, we've got to think of a move just for Vishy to keep going.
What's the way to keep going?
I mean, there's king d8 just to drop back, but it looks ugly, doesn't it? I mean, then we can sort of fall back to this move we were considering earlier with knight a5. Bring the knight here. Oh, I don't like it at all.
No, it looks horrible for black.
I think Vishy He's in deep, deep trouble now. Oh, poor guy. And his 13-year-old opponents.
Just looking at him, cold-blooded. I think this will be the first surprise of the day.
Yeah, could be. Okay, listen, let's go on our travels, and I tell you a player that we haven't really considered so far, only right at the start, and that was Vlad. Big Vlad Kramnik. I think we should go there because it started out in a very intriguing position. We haven't checked up on that game at all. And indeed, we have an exciting position on the board. Okay, we need a massive recap. Hopefully our camera can catch up. There is Vlad Kramnik's opponent, who is
Sundarayan Kidambi.
Thank you.
Sure.
We left the game here. I beg your pardon, here actually. And it went e4 and rook e8. So we've basically got a King's Indian attack with this knight in a slightly unusual position. Not sure who this benefits actually. I mean, compared to other King's Indian attack positions, White has managed to actually open the position quite quickly on the Queen's side. Looks dangerous.
It looks very dangerous.
So we have this again, very similar to Tanya's game against Peter Leko, using the minority attack to break those pawns, get an isolated pawn.
It's going to take some time for White to get back the pawn on a5, but it shouldn't be a very difficult task.
Rook c5, what do you think of that?
Oh, it's a lovely move, taking advantage of the pin on the long diagonal. We would need to bring the other rook as well to the a5. Queen a3 instead to attack the rook, and now captures on a5, getting back the pawn.
Right. What do you think? Who's better for a start?
This I find more complex than the game of Tanya Starchev against Peter Leko, because there with the a file and some pressure, I thought White is just very comfortable. Here, I feel like Black can create counterplay on the king side with h3, so it's not as clear cut.
Yeah, but it's White's play for the moment. I mean, I think it's interesting, Vlad's last move actually. Putting the bishop back on g7 could be creating room for the queen at some moment to come over, but of course at the moment the rook is on prise.
I would have blundered it by now, so don't worry.
I don't think so. I mean, my impression is that I wouldn't be unhappy with White here, because, you know, that pawn, I suppose you could say, is the only weakness. That's solidly protected by bishop and knight, so that, you know, there are weaknesses to attack here. So I put too much colour on the board, I'm sorry.
I like it, it's artistic.
Yes, I want to focus on the two weak points. So I wonder if I could, if I have time, just to play rook a2 and double on the a file. That could be one possibility. Another question is, do I need to blockade the pawn on h4 with h3? I'm not sure. That's quite a big decision. Whether to allow the black pawn to advance. Very hard to say. But I think I would feel pretty happy with White in this position, actually.
Yeah, for the moment I think White is comfortable. I agree with you because of the queen on a5 putting pressure on the queen side and the c7 rook. So that's very concrete, not allowing the d8 queen to move away.
I think I've managed to mess up the pawns.
It's all right.
I think he's played. Ah, yes, he's played rook fc1 here. Excuse me.
Are you good then? I need
I'm
you.
fine.
I
Yeah.
need you. Rook fc1, that's a logical move, bringing the rook to a more active square, supporting the c4 pawn. Later he could try to push c5 in the right moment. Not right now, in the right moment.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think white's pretty comfortable, and it might be possible to, if h3 comes, then you close with g3, and the bishop covers those slightly sensitive squares.
Yes. If you go for h3, maybe he's slightly worried about that h2 square later. So he has no dark square bishop, only light square bishop. That's why with g3 bishop f1 he can still control that g2 square.
Yeah, I think he's playing pretty well, actually. I think Vlad has quite a struggle to, well, I think it's worse. There you are, I'll stick my neck out.
I think also that White's position is really comfortable and should be better. We don't know how much better, we are not using the engine to evaluate positions, but certainly looks better for White.
So, Kidambi Sundararajan from India, rated 24.45, so way below Vlad's 27.79, but with a very comfortable position, it seems to me.
Our audience on Twitch is also pointing out the difference in height between the two players. Vladimir Kramnik is not a small person.
Yeah, I think he's about 6'6", something like that.
I don't know how to count in that. 190 approximately.
I'm useless at that.
I would say maybe 1 meter 90 centimeters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Approximately. He's a very tall man.
He's a big fridge, basically. I think that's all we can say about him. Okay.
And we are back with our special segment and our special member of the team, Fiona.
Hello, welcome back, Anna and Danny. Good to be back. Also good to see you guys out there being very active already on social media. Starting from round one, I've picked out a few tweets which we're going to have a look at now. We are going to start with a tweet by none other than Tarjei Swenson, who we all know. I think if you don't follow him on Twitter yet, what have you been doing with your Twitter life? And it's a nice tweet. Tarjei saying, well, nice thoughts anyway.
I love it. I love this one.
A historic moment. First time ever with more than 50% of the commentators being female. Danny, let me ask you, how does it feel?
I'm
out of frame and I'm laughing. I need to be.
Right at this moment, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good.
That's good to hear. Why do we have to tweet on? Let me wish Tarjei a very, very happy birthday, because it's his birthday today. So
happy birthday!
Happy birthday out to Tarjei again. Do follow him. He posts excellent chess content, not just during this event, but always.
Happy birthday to Tarjei. Let me just move over a little bit.
It's a family stream.
I'm being squeezed here in a charming way, I must admit. Okay, that's nice.
That's for Tarjei. Then moving on, something else I wanted to talk about. This is a tweet by Chess Draft. So let's bring on tweet number 2, if we can.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. So Chess Draft. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Chess Draft. Chess Draft is a Greek website which has been launched a few months back, maybe half a year ago, and it's basically a fantasy chess website. The reason I'm mentioning this tweet very early on is because if you want to pick your team for the Fantasy Isle of Man tournament, you only have an hour, a little over an hour to do so. I picked my team yesterday. It's absolutely for free. There are prizes to win. So do head to chessdraft.co. You can also see their tweet there. They're saying IOM chess is starting soon. This was before the start of the round. But you have 5 more hours to create your fantasy team while you're watching the live games on IOM. internationalchess.com/live.
Can I just ask about that? So how exactly does it work? How many players are you allowed to pick can you change them each round? What's the story?
You can only pick them once at the start of the tournament. I think they had introduced, like in football, a substitute system where you could. I'm not sure if that is in place for this tournament. I don't think so. That's why you need to head there right now and pick your teams. Your team consists of 6 players, and the rating average is 2600 max.
Okay.
And you can pick 6 players out of the field. I managed to pick my team.
Can we ask about your team, Fiona?
Yeah, I could. I should have. I didn't come prepared for this, but let me tell you. What I can tell you is that I picked MVL on my team, who is my pick to win the tournament.
Yeah.
I also picked Simon. Of course, need to pick your friends. Let me see. So my team consists of Mr. Vachier-Lagrave, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, David Howell, again, need to pick your friends, David, one of my best friends, but also the number 2 player in England, if I'm not mistaken, on the live list. Mr. Simon Williams, Pia Crumling, who has been having an excellent year. I thought I can't pick a team without at least one woman player on it. And then I picked Adiban and finally Semen Lomasov from Russia.
I think Adiban is a very catchy choice because his rating is 2668, and I would say he's severely underrated with 2668. So and also Pia with 2465.
That was the thinking. So basically, my team is my pick to win the tournament. 2 of my best friends. And very strong grandmasters, of course. And then 3 players who I think are underrated. Semen Lomasov is a player I have to say I wasn't familiar with, but he's a Russian, I think only maybe international master, grandmaster 2540. So I thought
he's a Russian.
I'll take a leap of faith here. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is my team. If you want to pick your team, once again, do head to chessdraft.co. It's all very easy, very straightforward, and it's a fun way, once again, to get involved in the tournament.
Nice stuff. Okay, let's have the next one.
The next treat is by Charlie the Chess Cat, another account which, if you aren't following, you should be following. Charlie,
one of my favorites.
It's one of Anna's favorite accounts. Charlie the Chess Cat is the cat of Mr. Simon Williams, aka the Ginger GM, who is playing here. Charlie is also a ginger cat, by the way. This is just one example of the numerous tweets that have been tweeted from Charlie's account today. Here it says, Aggie IOM chess update, normal Joko piano setup followed by a potentially dubious knight sack on g5. Now White is playing somewhat slowly for a tactical game. What's his plan? Again, there's not so much here I wanted to discuss about the content of the tweet, but do follow Charlie the Chess Cat. Some very insightful tweets.
Well, you know, I followed Charlie the Chess Cat, and frankly, I'm a bit confused because.
He plays very well for a cat.
Well, I don't know how well he plays. I'm not quite sure who's actually operating the paw of Charlie the Chess Cat.
Let's just leave. I think it's Charlie. Charlie is operating.
Okay, so anyway, I'm always intrigued by Charlie's tweets. I have to say, I'm a
Actually,
follower.
if you do follow the account, the latest tweet, it was too late because I'd already selected this one. But there is a photo of Charlie in front of the computer watching you guys broadcast.
Fantastic, because I mean, you know, I have a cat at home, and I've tried to introduce our cat to chess, but at
Not
the moment,
successfully.
not very successful.
And he's not a good Twitter.
She's also not very proficient in the Twitter sphere either. But so yeah, Charlie, I think it's fantastic. Yeah. Great stuff. Okay, next one.
Shout out to Charlie.
Now, I think we're going to have to end this segment here. Maybe I will be back a bit later to finish this segment, but for now, I will leave you guys.
Really? I want more.
I do have more prepared, but maybe I'll come back in a little while. And I will leave you guys to the chat for now.
Okay, thanks very much, Fiona.
Thank you very
Great
much.
stuff. I look forward to
And
it.
I'll see you later.
Okay, see you. Great stuff. have our splendid view of the playing hall there here at the Villa Marina in Douglas in the Isle of Man, and it is a wonderful playing hall. I think it was built in Victorian times and then some various additions, but basically still that Victorian old theatre with the most beautiful dome. Pleasure to see it, and for the players, I think. So back to the games, Anna. We left Vlad in a slightly precarious situation, I would say. Let's move on to another board. How about, we haven't seen Wesley for a while. Let's go to my man Wes.
You want to go to Wesley's game, and after Wesley's game I think we shall have a look at Vichy
Oh,
again,
really?
because I feel like that game is on flames and we don't want to miss the fire.
Okay, we last looked at this game way back here. So Wesley So playing against CRG Krishna. I'm afraid I don't know what the initials stand for.
It's confusing sometimes with Indian names. I think we should ask him.
Okay, Wesley has gained a lot of space all over the board, and that would fill me with confidence with white. However, it is exploding here. This looks like a cracker, actually. And we can see the players on camera there. This is really interesting. The H file opened. I'm just wondering whether that queen can find its way to H2. Boom! Could be a boom moment.
It certainly could be, and it's
he's
heading toward it.
going
Yeah,
for it.
next move, queen h2, queen h2.
Fantastic!
Yay, we are there. Bishop h6.
Bishop blocking, yeah, but wait a second.
So knight is going toward g4. Bishop f4. There we go.
This is exciting stuff. Bishop f4, so obviously there's a threat here. So we ought to do something about that. Now, what's the prob if I just exchange off? And then, oh, hello. What's going on here? Sorry, I'm just making very obvious captures here. Why can't he do this?
It looks reasonable to capture on f4 with the knight. You want to keep the h6 bishop covering up the h5 so that there's no queen h8 coming. And knight c5, yes, why not?
Tactic on the g file maybe, rook g1. Is this what Wes has in mind? I tell you what, you know, in these elite tournaments we see Wesley grinding out these slight advantages, and here, well, he's just going to have to go for it. Okay, there could be an issue here. Maybe he wants to. Can he bring the second rook over? Bishop c2. I'm casting around for ideas here, not very successfully. And then bishop c2, and I mean it takes a long time for rook number 2 to come into the game.
It does take a while, and the king is still on e1. Where shall this king go? Will we be okay on e2?
Clock times 32 minutes for Wesley, 27 for Krishna, and that is the position on the board. They've only played 22 moves. Got to get to move 40. The time control there.
Just want to mention, those of you looking at the camera, that next to our Indian player, that's James Tarjan, last year's surprise player, the man who beat Vladimir Kramnik. But he's a grandmaster. Simply, he has been a retired player for the last decade or so.
We can just see the grey-haired gentleman just behind our Indian friend,
yes,
with the American flag. Jim Tarjan, I remember when I was growing up, was you know, a member of the American team, and you know, I remember his games pretty well. You know, he's played in the Olympiad. Really strong player, actually, and fascinating that he's come back and, yeah, as we know, last year played extremely well. There he is on the left.
Exactly. As you mentioned, he was on the Olympic team of the United States. I think he was on the gold-winning team actually, and then he retired. He became a librarian. So he's not a professional chess player anymore, and even like this, he managed to beat Vladimir Kramnik last year.
Gold-winning team?
That's what I read. Yeah, that's what I read, but now I'm confused as well.
Because normally the Soviet Union were winning, apart from
that 1 year when
1978, when I believe the Hungarian team
yeah,
won
that
in
I
Buenos
know.
Aires.
That I know, but I read, I don't know. And I'm confused too. So the moment I said I felt weird as well, but he's definitely a strong grandmaster. Simply nowadays he doesn't compete. He has a profession to look, and a different profession to look after.
Ooh. Looks like Aronian has finished. Let's go to Aronian's game very, very quickly. Just 1 second while we catch up there. I'm just going to switch boards. We can see the players just discussing the game. Looks to me like Levon has crashed through here. Let's catch up. We left the game around this point with Aronian having this nice Marozzi bind. I'm just going to go through very quickly. Yeah, this is a nice position. In these kind of hedgehog positions with black, the important thing is, can black break free? But here, white's pieces are so beautifully placed. And this bishop on the same diagonal here, basically black is in trouble in this position. It's so difficult to break free.
We tried with b5, but e5, a very strong move by Levon Aronian. There's a pin on the d file.
Yeah, so now black has ditched an exchange, but well, with zero compensation because of this strong pass pawn. Looks like this one hasn't taxed Levon too much. Let's just see how the game ended.
Yeah. Wow, boom, that's a boom moment then.
It's a boom moment, yeah, but frankly, somehow not very surprising really, is it? So I imagine the finish would be rook d7, attacking the queen, also threatening queen takes f7, so if rook check then we can just guard here, and yeah, that's the end of the game.
That was a very convincing win by the #1 player of the tournament. There are 3 players with the same rating, so Levon Aronian is #1 because of the alphabet, A, Aronian.
So that's our first board.
Yes, first board victory for Levon Aronian, one of the top favorites to win the competition. And I just want to mention, since we were talking about the gold medal of the United States, that was indeed from the controversial year 1976 when there were 2 Olympiads, and the Soviet Union did not play in Israel, but instead went for the against chess Olympiad in Libya.
Yes, so there's the US played in Haifa in Israel, so it was a very unfortunate year, I'm afraid. It was split between 2 places, and well, neither Olympiad was particularly strong. Unfortunately. But anyway, it doesn't diminish Jim Tarjan's status as a very, very strong grandmaster. Let's go down the boards in order. So we've seen that Levon Aronian has won on board 1. I'd like to see how Anish Giri is getting on board 2. So let's just go there.
And after Anish's game, I think we shall head back to Vishy Anand. I see some of the comments saying that he has equalized, so I'm curious if there was an attack missed by our 13-year-old prodigy.
Okay, let's just see. That's not the position. That hopefully is position in... Anish.
Oh, look at that.
Well, let's just see how we got there. But it looks as though at least... It's complicated, but looks to me as though Anish is a little bit worse, but let's see. So Alina Kashlinskaya is a pawn up, but her kingside has been a little bit damaged, and there's potential for this rook to swing over to attack So, an interesting situation. I mean, I think Anish has been quite creative here, actually.
Yes, we were concerned, and he seemed to be concerned a few moves ago, how to create an interesting position, how to create winning chances. It seems like he managed.
I'm just going to go to the analysis board 1 second. How is Queen E4 here?
To try to go into a rook endgame, because after queen takes e4, f takes e4.
Well, I can imagine this might be a draw.
Yes, so
B3 or something.
black is very active, but it's still a pawn down. He has to win the pawn back first.
Should be a draw somehow. Maybe rook takes. Well, anyway, I mean, it's no point in going into detail, but probably a draw. But Anish, I'm sure will want more. Now rook g5 check, then we can come into king goes to h1. Also seems all right. I mean, all right for white. I can imagine this objectively. This position is about equal. That would be my feeling.
But it is still a dynamic position. So black sacrificed the pawn in order to create chances. That's what he should do in an open tournament. The question is if white will find the most precise moves, and in that case, it will steer toward a draw.
Also, apart from queen e4, there's also rook c5. I wonder if that's even stronger. You know, white could be thinking maybe I can exploit my extra pawn. This is also not so silly. I think, you know, that's quite possible.
Those could be the two candidate moves that Elina is contemplating.
We've been told that we should be examining Jeffrey Xiong's board. Now, which board is that?
Let me help you with that. He's playing on board 29 against Isha Karavade, another female player from India.
Okay. It's over.
Oh, and it's a beautiful finish. So our second game to finish among the top boards. Jeffrey Xiong, one of the top junior players from the United States, winning in style against the Caro-Kann defense. Isha Karavade with the black pieces.
Trendy e5, and this goes into a kind of French defense where white is actually a tempo up, but he's actually given away the d4 point. But obviously white's setup is very, very aggressive. Now let's see. There was actually a really interesting game in the Olympiad between Fressinet and Piorun in the France-Poland match, where Piorun with black won really, really nicely. But wow, this is so aggressive. Knight g5 straight away. Extraordinary.
Very straightforward. Queen h5, threatening mate in 1.
I like it. I like it a lot.
And it feels like bishop f6 will be coming in the next moves, just giving up that bishop on f6 to create a mate threat on g7.
Yeah, I mean, the big question is what happens on queen e5 here. I suppose the f-pawn could come into play. There's also perhaps rook e1, very simply, followed by rook e3. That I'm really enjoying the directness of white's play here. And
there we go, bishop f6.
Thank you, Anna.
That was just a move that was shouting, screaming that you want to play it.
It was a screamer.
Yes.
It was a screamer. Yeah, and this doesn't look...
Piece up for black, but the piece up is on the queen side.
That's a nice self-pin, actually.
Yeah.
Rook e3 blocking the check. And let's just see what happens on queen takes. I assume queen here is going to be mate. Have I just lost the moves? I think I might have done.
No, there you go. Yeah, you just need to go back to the end of the game.
And final move. Knight
Knight
e7.
e7 check.
Let's just
Play it out. Knight takes e7.
pawn takes doesn't look bad, does it?
Well, giving up the queen so that we can promote with a check. New queen on the board, and it's an exchange up plus winning attack mate or winning the queen and then mate.
He didn't mess around, did he?
No, he did not. Bishop f6. I love that move.
That was an absolute stormer. Right, you wanted to go back to Vichy.
I did want to see if he has survived.
Yeah, survival. That's the name of the game for Vichy. Let's just find the board. Wait a second. Let me just come back here. Hang on. We left it around there, but let's just get the update on the moves. Just bear with us, folks. We've only got 165 players to sort through. We left it at this moment where obviously things are looking pretty desperate.
We did not see a move for Vichy. There are so many threats. Queen b5 check, queen b7. So I wonder what is it that Vichy came up with? Bishop e3 to try to bring the bishop toward the queen side, protecting
Rook
some spread.
c6.
Whoa!
Looks pretty ugly.
It does look very ugly, but the idea was to force the knight away so that then he can play rook b6. Very smart. We were wondering how can black trade pieces, because if you're under attack you want to make sure that you're getting rid of pieces. The less pieces, the better for your king. And he did manage. Rook c6, rook b6.
Well, I'm not going to say this is a total transformation, but I think what we can say is that if we compare this position with where we were a few moves ago, which was, let me find it here, where black's pieces look really ugly.
Super ugly, and it looks like you could resign here unless you come up with something brilliant like rook c6, rook b6.
But that one is better. I'm still not convinced that Vichy is out of the woods here.
He may not be, but it looks like he has achieved something.
Now, I'm interested in the clock times, because how's our friend Raunak on the clock situation? I haven't. Let me see. I can't quite see the digital clock very easily. I wonder if we can get that information. Yeah, can we zoom in or something? I don't know if we have the technology. Let's try and find out the clock times.
As we mentioned, with the white pieces, Ronak Sadhwani, 13-year-old prodigy from India, facing his idol, Vishy Anand. He's getting a little nervous now. Before I thought he was very confident and calm. Now I feel like he is not as confident anymore because of his time situation. 11 minutes left for the young boy against 41 minutes. That is a serious time difference.
And remember, he's playing, our 13-year-old friend is playing the world rapid play champion, Vichy. He won in Riyadh last December.
Exactly.
And yeah, this is fascinating. This is pressure. This is real pressure now. He must be thinking, oh God, should I have gone for that equal endgame? Should I have just made a draw against Vichy? But now, let's see. Okay. Let's give a check and see what happens. I should go to the analysis board before I completely wreck.
Sure, go for it then. You can do it.
Okay, so let's give a check with Queen b5. Now, where's that king going? e7 looks too ugly for words. I'm going to go to... Ooh.
So many
looks ugly.
There are so many options.
Oh, golly. Oh, okay, I'll go here. But then there's a check and I take on d6.
Oh boy.
That's no good, is it? We better go back. So c8, we'll try that one. But then there's a check on a6. Could this be? Could we be heading for a draw?
It could be a perpetual check if he wants to.
If he wants to. Listen, let's not be spineless. I think we've got to play for more. What if, sorry, this position, check, king c8. What if I play rook e1?
Oh, sorry, there's a result nearby this board, and I'm just curious who finished there next to Alexander Grishuk's board. That is that Hikaru Nakamura's game that has just finished?
And apparently Hikaru has drawn.
Whoa!
Oh, interesting stuff. But listen,
yeah, I know. There's way too many exciting positions to look at. We will look at the Hikaru game afterwards.
We're bouncing around, but let's stick on this because I think with rook e1, a bit of pin and win, and our friend Raunak Sadhwani could still be in the driver's seat here.
But he's running out of time, under 10 minutes, and this is only move 31. He still needs to play, not even 31.
That's the position on the board.
Okay, so move 31. He needs to reach move 40 to receive an additional 50 minutes.
But he does get 30 seconds every time he makes a move.
He does, but he's playing against Vishy Anand. I don't know, it's just so difficult.
Oh, Vishy, I don't know if he's that happy.
He doesn't seem to be happy, but he also seemed more concerned a little bit earlier. I think this is...
But he's not out the woods here, I'm telling you.
He's not.
You can give a check, you can play rook e1 straight away. Let's just wait to see if he makes a move fairly quickly. But then, we need to bounce to Hikaru, basically.
So Hikaru Nakamura not in his best shape if we recall the Olympiad, and we shall see how that game went today's round.
He was my tip to win the tournament.
He can still win.
What have you done to me?
He can still win. There are 8 more rounds to go, but it seems that he did not manage to beat Paolo Ladron de Guevara, international master.
Do you know what? We haven't even looked at this game at all.
Because there are 165 players to look at.
Let's zip through very quickly. Maroczy bind. Very, very standard variation. The bishop comes to c6 and the black knight will bounce round to c5. So my feeling was that, could Hikaru find form and do what he often does in these open tournaments and storm through the field, but it's looking like, reasonable position for black, but let's see, Hikaru.
So what went wrong? It's just the queen and rook endgame.
He's pressing at the moment. I mean, this is, I would say this is better for black here because of the centre pawns.
Looks better. He's got the semi-open g5 too. He's bringing his rook to g6. Queen goes back to b6. Some regrouping, maneuvering, but no. Now he decided to repeat moves.
Obviously couldn't find a way through here. It's true that this queen does give white very good control on these light squares. I think this is a problem. Indeed, sometimes that queen can enter into the position here and get a nasty counterattack. So basically Hikaru's just landed in a position where he just seems like he can't make progress. But unfortunately, it looks like Hikaru's poor run is continuing in the Olympiad, playing for the US team. He struggled, he really struggled. I think, did he make 50% or +1 at the Olympiad? Certainly not a great score.
Not his best Olympiad, and he's not starting well here at the Isle of Man International. His opponent, 22-year-old international master, 23-year-old international master from Spain, making a great first round.
Okay, let's move on. Where are we going to go next? What about, hey listen, let's go to Boris.
Okay. Well, this is a slower position, or it's not the current position that we have seen.
No, that's not the current position. Let me find Big Bad Boris and get that one on the board. Just let me get an update. So that's the position on the board. Oh, very exciting. We left the game around here, where we were very much liking Boris's position with black, because not easy to see what white was going to play, and black certainly has good control over these dark squares here. still looks very promising, and Jovanka could only go backwards and forwards, so looks good for Boris. But let's see.
He traded on d4.
Pressure, pressure. Very dynamic. That's the position on the board. So Boris has cracked things open. Lots of open diagonals. Pass pawn on d4. It's hard to take in, actually. I still feel that black should be better. I like that pass pawn. You know, if we could perhaps get in bishop e4, and then even later on start to push that pawn. I wonder if that's the way to go. Or is he going to use the bishop on b7? A rook swing? I don't know, it's complicated. I mean, I still really like black here, but
Yes.
But he's got a tricky decision to make, actually.
Yeah, I think we should come back to this game. There are so many exciting positions. Anish Giri has traded queens in the position that we looked at a few minutes ago against Alina Krasnitskaya. So it's a rook endgame with a pawn down for the Dutchman.
Okay, let me just find that one and get up to date. So that's the position on the board. Oh, okay. We left the position here, and Krasnitskaya played queen e4, and well, we were fishing around trying to find some way for black to play unsuccessfully, and Anish has simply compromised and headed for this endgame that we were considering, and I thought this was just a draw, basically. Of course, white has an extra pawn, but to make anything of this...
No, in worst case for white, it is a draw.
Okay, the only question is, can white be better? So we want to steam over the king to support the b-pawn. I think that's my plan, to come to...
She has played king f1, king e2, so we haven't seen the last move. g5, king f1, king... king g7. King g7 was played by Anish, and king e2.
Okay, now how do I get up to date?
You can just make the move. I think that's the easiest. King g7, king e2.
Okay, and Anish played... No, it's Anish's move. Sorry, yeah, he's just returning to the board, as we can see there. So I was just getting a little bit confused. Yeah, so this king wants to travel over to c2, c3. Whoops, not h5. That would be an interesting idea. And that frees the rook, and we're ready to push the pawn.
Maxim Vachier-Lagrave checking the rook endgame of Anish.
Right. So the problem is that this rook, the king can come to e4, excuse me, e5 to attack e4. That's what I meant to say. Now it's actually double-edged. Black structure on the king side is pretty good, so it's down to fine details now. Let me just... sorry, just 1 second. We're just juggling with the boards here, folks. White to play. Let me continue. If king here... Yeah, king e5 will be able to give a check and then protect the pawn, so that's not very good. Even that's possible, give a check, but okay, I don't like... But I'm just wondering, instead of king d3, whether we should be playing f4 first to block out the king.
That's a possibility.
And g4, that's counterplay. I'm not sure. I mean, I think this is a really tricky endgame, actually.
Maybe she shouldn't allow that. g4 and then some ideas with rook b5, rook h5.
Okay. Yeah, I've got to watch this guy.
Always. And that means that the white rook is passive, can never abandon the b2 pawn.
This is such a tricky endgame because I think if white doesn't get it right, I think if white presses too hard,
she might even lose.
She could even lose this, yeah.
So that is the winning chance for Nishigiri. If white pushes too much, wants to win too much, then she can end up in trouble. If she doesn't do anything, if she decides that, okay, I'm a pawn up, but there's no way for white's position to be improved, then it should be a draw.
That's quite a tricky decision, whether to play f4 or to travel over with the king. Oh no, I haven't got a clue. I mean, we're looking at this in a very superficial way, really. But that's the dilemma: travel or f4.
I think it's just all the games are heating up, so we can't really stay with this game. We should go back to the game of Rishi Anand, that is according to our chat, and the game of Vidit as well.
Ah, yeah. The Vidit Gujrati's game. This was incredible. Let's go there. I'm fascinated by this. So we left it in a position where Vidit had given up his queen for 3 minor pieces. Wow, it's kicking off. So this is the position, and yeah, he didn't bother defending the h-pawn. I think he's trying to escape with his king, basically. But no, f5, wow.
With the f5 opening up, the king and the queen on the f5, this is over. It feels like. Okay, he's trying to escape, trying to make a run toward the queen side. d5.
d5, I like that a lot. I think white is in deep trouble here. I mean, if knight takes pawn, then I assume something very, very nasty is going to happen here. Maybe, just rook f2. Is that pushing it too far? I want to give a checkmate. Maybe, okay, let's just be sensible. Let's just take this. Followed by rook h2. I think the king is in massive trouble. But then again, if white doesn't take and has to grovel back to g2, then this looks utterly lost. Probably just taking and rook here. I think that could win the queen.
Yes, this position has to be winning for black. I think we'll come back to this and see what happened, but Rishi's game is also still on fire.
Yeah, you're throwing me different ways, Anna. I don't know where I'm going now.
The chat is screaming at us that we are not looking at Rishi.
Oh, yes. We want to look at Rishi. Okay, fantastic. But that's an amazing game, and it looks like Vidit is doing well. Okay, you want to go to Rishi. Okay. Your wish is my command. Where is he? Where's our man? There he is. How's he looking?
Still not very comfortable, I would say. He's got more time on the clock, so the only problem for white is the time situation.
Wow, let's just go back. Here we go. That's the position on the board. c4. Really interesting. And after king e7, c5. Blasting things open. Okay. First question. What happens on bishop? Whoops, I've managed to, hang on, I don't know what happened there. I've messed up completely, as usual.
It's all right.
Oh, we went back. Okay, so c5. And what happens on, let me go to the analysis board. I'm so excited. Basically, everything's gone to pot. Here we go.
I would do the same then, don't worry.
Okay, so what happens on bishop c5? He's done it.
Yeah, we shall see what happens on bishop c5.
Queen h4. Is that what he wants to do? Yes.
Look at that queen swing.
Confident queen switch. Queen h4 on the board.
13-year-old Ronak Sadhwani aiming to beat Rishi Anand with queen h4. Confidently played.
And so threat queen takes, but also rook e1. Yeah, 2 threats on the board. And we have to bear in mind that knight could spin in at some point as well. So I somehow feel that this might still be tenable for Vishy, actually, because at least his queen side has kind of stabilised. Vishy hovering. I can see that Raunak has, is that about 7 minutes or is it 1 minute? It looks like 7 minutes to me.
Yes, it's, I think 7.5 minutes left. Oh, Raunak, look at that.
7 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, Queen of 7 played by Vishy, and Raunak looked up and stared at Vishy.
Ooh, eyeballing him.
As if it was a blunder, I felt like. That was the kind of look you make when it's a blunder, or when it's a move that you did not expect.
Looks reasonable to me because the queen defends here, defends, whoops, not there, I meant defends this pawn, and also steps out from any danger with the pin.
Oh, was it a draw offer?
Draw offer? What?
I don't know, I'm just reading the chat. I'm trying to figure out what was the look on Raunak's face.
No, it can't be.
Did Vishy offer a draw?
Vishy wouldn't offer a draw,
I think he wouldn't, so
no.
I think it's just a guess in the chat.
No. We should also mention there are no draw offers allowed before move 30.
Yeah, this is move 34,
yeah,
so
so
he
not relevant.
could have,
but still. Yeah, has Raunak blown it? He's a pawn down now. But then again, how's... Oh, tricky move. What about b4? Now that might dislodge...
Where do you go with the bishop?
Problem. Do you have to go to e3? Not a stable square by any means. Then rook e1, the king goes back.
This is looking so suspicious.
Still Vishy on the board. Yeah, it is. Excuse me.
Yeah, then hang on. We need you. So b4, one of the options that Raunak might be contemplating. The problem for the Indian prodigy, 13-year-old Raunak Sadhwani, from the Mumbai Movers of the Pro Chess League, he's trying to beat Vishy Anand here, but he has less than 7 minutes left on the clock. So time pressure is the factor that is playing in favor of Anand.
I don't see anything quite clear for white.
MVL is looking at the position as well, and Anish Giri, I've just spotted too. Certainly this is one of the most exciting games of the day. Round 1 only, and Vishy Anand could be still in trouble.
Yeah, we can't quite see anything.
Good point by Zainab that the Mumbai Movers also had Vishy Anand on the team, so actually the two were teammates in the Pro Chess League. Although everyone plays from their home, so I'm not sure that they actually met for the Pro Chess League matches, the Mumbai Movers. Most of the players compete from their homes online.
I've just seen there's a comment on the Twitch feed that knight b7 is the only move that maintains equality. Presumably that's an engine assessment.
Oh? That
Knight
maintains equality? What?
Well, there you go. No, well, that's what I was saying. I mean, I couldn't see anything for clear for white. I mean, knight b7 also sort of dislodges the bishop from its post on c5. It's not. Let's see. Queen h6 played.
So not knight b7.
Let me just put that on the board.
Queen h6. Now that move takes away the e3 square from the bishop, but there's no more b4 anymore because we needed the queen on h4 to push b4. Oh no, sorry, b4 still, because knight c6 is a fork.
Ah, interesting.
So he is threatening b4, trapping the bishop.
Tricky, super tricky. I like it, Anna.
He's a tricky boy. but I think Vishy will spot it. The question is, shall he move out of this threat? And if, well, I mean, he has to deal with it for sure, but shall he move away from this knight c6 threat with the king move, perhaps?
King D, yeah, absolutely. Maybe king d7. Let's give it a try.
Yeah, that could be a good defensive move. So now b4 is not an option. There's no knight c6 after bishop takes b4.
Well, if Vishy gets through this one, I think that will give him some confidence for the rest of the tournament.
Oh yeah, surviving this position. A suggestion in the chat instead of king d7 here is g5.
G5, to shut the queen out of the game. Yeah, that absolutely.
Protecting the e3 square so the bishop can move there. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think our Twitch community has a really strong playing level, so thank you guys for the suggestions.
Yeah, so let's just see that very quickly. So if rook e1, then we can step to the side. And, well, I was going to say the queen's sideline. It's not quite out of the game, but yes. Yeah, I think it's fair to say it is pretty much sidelined, actually. Yeah, no, that's very interesting. So our feeling is that Vishy is actually probably still okay here after g5 or the move king d7. We've just heard that Sergei Karyakin has won his game, so perhaps we could switch to that one very quickly.
Let's see the end of that game.
Yeah, let's just catch up. I need to find the game first. That would be an achievement.
Mr. Karyakin played on board 9 with the white pieces against Soumya Swaminathan.
Just 1 second. There we go. Let's get up to date. We left the game here where we felt that he'd started very well, actually. A pleasant position for white to play. And the queen switching around as advertised. Already a pleasant position for white. Let's just sit through very quickly. Bishop d5. That's a nice little pin.
Yeah, 6th rank pin. And after rook d8, what was his move? Oh, he simply took on c6.
That very interesting decision. So he basically decided that Black's knight was a useful defensive piece or could potentially come to e5, so he just traded it off. So in fact, he's played this extremely positionally and succeeded in winning a pawn. And Karyakin's technique was quite sufficient to win this game. Nice. Oh, that's a very nice maneuver. I like this. Knight from sorry, let's just get that. Knight from e2 to g1 to f3.
Beautiful. The e5 pawn is the target, and now the rook is going for the queen side.
So that was the final move of the game. So after, well, if the king moves away, then knight will take the pawn, and if bishop c6, then we whip it off.
It's a pawn, and then more pawns will drop the b5 pawn after the bishop is fallen.
Right, I want to go and see Tanya's game.
Sure.
Tanya Sachdev against Peter Lecker, which is on board down here.
I feel like we will need to be switching a lot these now because there's another game finishing. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave has just won his game against Nicolas Lube.
Okay, but...
Yes, we will first finish with the game of Tanya Sachdev against Peter Lecker, but there are so many games in critical moments that we will have to be switching a lot.
And hopefully we're going to get some interviews with some of the players that have finished as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
We are hoping to see the players soon here in our studio.
That was the position where we left it. Let's just get up to date very quickly. Looks about even. So the knight is attacked. It means the pressure is off e4. But what white has done is, move the pawn away from e4. So that after, well, let's go to the analysis board. It means that after knight d5, then we can actually take the pawn on a6. But I don't think black is in any difficulty at all here. If anything, I would say black could be better here, actually. Let's say after, well, rook somewhere or knight f4 straight away. Probably knight f4. There are things to attack here. So actually, I mean, objectively, I'm sure it's a draw.
A dynamic balance. So it's a pawn up for white, but very active pieces for black.
I would favour black here.
I would definitely prefer black because it's white who has to play very precisely. Otherwise, it could fall apart. Knight takes h3 is a threat. The f3 knight is under attack. You can't move the knight away because of the g2 pawn. It's a difficult position.
I think it's really interesting to see that Peter hasn't compromised with his style at all. He's still, he's going to be grinding out this position. Fascinating stuff. Let's see if he does it. Okay, where do you want to go next? We've got some more results.
I think we need to see the MVL game, but also everyone wants to go back to Vishy's game too, since this might be the game of the day.
Okay, we'll go back to Vishy.
MVL finished his game. He beat Nicolas Lubet. We saw that game in the middle game, and Nicolas was suffering. He went for this knight d7 knight bait, dubious knight maneuver, the g8 knight ending up on b8. No good. Nothing good can happen if you have spent so much time on a knight move.
Okay.
Knight maneuver.
So here we go. Let's get the update on Vishy. And Vishy did play this move g5, which was suggested by some of our friends online. g5, shutting out white's queen. And my feeling is that this is now turning Vishy's way. I think we might have one more move. The camera...
f4 was played by Ronak after g5.
Oh, really?
Yes. He's going for it. It's either great or bad.
So f4. That's a make or break move.
Yes. So if he can succeed opening up the position, that's of course something that white wants with his king on e7. The question is there anything concrete for black?
Well, there are a couple of things that worry me about black's position. White's position. I beg your pardon. That this rook is loose and the knight is loose.
I was looking at those pieces as well. I don't like loose pieces in general because they always end up being in tactical motifs.
And I just feel that Vishy has enough stability on the queen side with these pieces that somehow he should be able to, get a stable advantage here.
It's move 36. It means that Ronak still needs to play 4 moves. He is below 3 minutes on the clock.
Okay, what if I'm an absolute chicken here and decide, right, I'm going to chase the queen? What if I play queen g6? Just to be a complete chicken. I want to get rid of your queen and just play with my extra pawn.
That looks like a safe move, even if you're not a chicken.
I'm going to be a boring chicken. A boring chicken.
Yes, so if I have to trade and then take on g5 just to avoid your pawns, but still, it's a pawn down.
Yeah, I'm not fussed really, because my extra pawn's on the other side of the board. I mean, a lot of pawns are being traded, but hey, white's king doesn't look very good in the corner. And if white tries to avoid this, I know there's a check on e1. I don't think it makes a difference. Rook e1 check, I just come here. I don't think it's a big deal. Vishy's played it. He's played it.
He's played queen g6. I don't think that's a chicken move.
And
f takes g5, played by Ronak.
Let me just promote that.
Queen takes h6.
Queen
the
h6
queens are
played.
off of the board, so he did not take back on his g5, but instead captures the queen. G takes h6. Ronak is about to make it to the time control.
But Vichy's got the queens off. He must feel confident that he can win this position. I mean, he's definitely better. I mentioned before, White's king, I think, not in a great situation because it can't come out the box very quickly.
This is how the tables turn, with the position having lots of pieces on the board. Black's king was very bad. On e7, on d7, we thought that Vichy was in trouble. Now that the queens are off of the board, a pair of rooks have been traded and so on, it's suddenly an endgame where it is the white king that is worse. It's cut, it cannot be activated. And the h6 pawn is vulnerable too.
I'm just wondering whether we need to be very materialistic here, and we could play bishop e3 to collect the pawn, but actually another idea is to put the king on d7 and then to advance that pawn down the board to anchor the bishop on e3. I don't know whether we start with that, or whether we start with whether we're sensible and move the king to, let's say, to d7. I don't know which way around, but let's do that.
I like king d7. No more knight c6 tricks, and it opens up the e5 for the rook, so next move could be rook e2.
That's very true. Yeah. Simply go active with rook e2. That could be nice. I mean, it seems to me that Vichy is better.
He's going for bishop e3, which is very logical to attack the h6 pawn immediately, and after rook e1 the king can simply move away from the e5 and the pawn will drop. It's going to be a pawn up for black.
Yeah, like I said, I think the plan is to shift the king and get these pawns down the board as quickly as possible. Seems to me, I mean, Vichy is definitely in the driving seat. Whether, I don't know how much advantage she has. Significant, I would say.
It could be. Yeah. After the h6 pawn drops, it's a pawn up. And there's nothing wrong with the black king anymore. The pawn structure is all right. I think Vichy will win this. Ronak played an extremely good game. 13-year-old Indian boy with the white pieces. He was so fearless and brave going for this game. Not trading queens in the moment when he could have. He could have went for an equal endgame. He did not. He kept on attacking. Sometimes you don't succeed with the attack, but still, I think the attitude is great. He's a fighter, and we will see him playing against other strong players at this tournament and in the future too. So I think it's a great future for Ronak that we can predict.
Tricky move, bishop at h4, because he's perhaps looking to hit the f pawn, maybe with rook e1 as well. Another idea, but I think Vichy is just sidestepped. Yeah, he's played king f7.
Those of you asking about Maxime Vachier-Lagrav's game, he has won already, so we are not going to see that game. He won against Nicolas Loubet.
Shall we have a quick look?
We can see the end of the game.
Let's just go there very quickly. Let me just get up to date.
It was board 3, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave with the white pieces against German international master Nicolas Loubet.
Wow. Do you remember that night?
Yeah. That knight on b8, guys, those of you who were not here at the beginning, it's coming from g8. It takes effort to place the g8 knight on b8.
It's had a very sad career.
Yes.
And if that knight hasn't moved from b8, then it means the rook hasn't moved from a8. So let's go back to where we left it, which was here. And it looked very promising. A6, that's an interesting move. We were looking at simply dropping the bishop, but
wow.
A6.
Threatening a takes b7, which is a stronger threat than d takes c4.
Yeah, if pawn takes, I wonder if his idea is just to come back now. And that leaves the knight terribly placed, because if my idea was to... I've messed up the...
Don't worry.
Thing again. But my idea was that if bishop here, then at least black could somehow get this knight back into the game. But after this, that's very clever. So you throw that in and only then put the bishop back. And the knight's completely stymied. Okay, I will get the game back as I've messed up. Just 1 second. Apologies.
Yeah, this is Vishy's game. As you can see, he's heading for the h6 pawn, a pawn up endgame for Vishy Anand.
Okay, so sorry, we're back to Vacher Le Grave against Luber. I'll just go to the end so we can see the game very quickly. No, that was nice, just a moment. So pawn takes, is he trapping the queen? I'll just go to the analysis board. Whoops. Knight d4. So I just, to satisfy my curiosity, what happens on this? Is he playing this? Looks pretty good. Okay. So, oh my goodness. Looks to me like Maxime played a beautiful game, actually.
Just playing against the queen side pieces of black, the b8 knight and the a8 rook. That's a rook and a piece down.
But that's absolutely fantastic. So, you know, g3 was the final move of the game.
Beautiful. There's no concrete threat, but black cannot move his pieces.
Beautiful game from Maxime. And so basically he can crawl in somehow. I mean, maybe the next move is just queen b7. Probably. Interesting stuff. Do we want to keep updating Vishy's game?
I think so,
Yeah.
since we named it the game of the day.
So just 1 second, let's just get the update. Whoops. I think that is, yeah, it went king f7, rook f1, knight d7, just defending the pawn. So Vishy isn't pawn up yet, but this one is in the bishop's sights. Solid advantage for Vishy.
And he stands up confidently. They have made it to move 40, so now Ronak has an extra 50 minutes also on the clock. No more time trouble. The game will slow down, and I think this means that we can go and see other positions too. I see a request, many requests actually, for Adiban's game.
Oh, Adiban.
Adiban playing on board, let me help you, board 26 with the black pieces is Thomas Sawyer against Adiban, board 26.
I'm just scrolling down.
Yes. Yep, there, bottom.
There he is. And he's won.
Oh, it's over. Let's see the final moves and how he won against his German opponent.
Let's, as it was a reasonably short game, let's go through very quickly. Adiban Bhaskaran, for those that don't know, from India, of course, and a very exciting attacking player. And it looks like we have that here, but only on the board. Well, at this moment, I would favour white. Adiban seems to have lost a couple of tempi, but clearly that isn't going to faze him. Now here's where things kick off. So white was tempted into playing g4.
But did not count on the piece sacrifice with queen h4. Rook e1.
Looks very risky for white.
And knight takes g4, crushing attack by Adiban.
Bishop f2, that's a really nice move.
Beautiful.
What happens on rook takes bishop?
Queen g3.
Thank you, queen g3, yeah.
And after queen f2, knight g3 mate.
Fantastic, yeah.
So if knight e2, we take on e2 and then knight g3.
Let's see it, Anna. We love it.
Yes.
We love a checkmate. And knight g3 mate. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got knight e4 played instead. And still knight g3 was threatened. So black is still a piece down, but something nasty is going to happen. Really nice attacking game actually from Adiban.
Beautifully played.
Yeah.
Very well converted. Congratulations to the Indian Grandmaster.
Nevertheless, if I'm going to be very picky, around about here, I'm thinking, I kind of like White's position. So how did that happen?
Yes,
This
somehow
H3
it
and
collapsed.
G4.
G4 was too optimistic.
I wonder in this position, maybe instead of H3 and G4, what if I just push on?
Yeah, he could have played that. F5. H3, G4 was certainly not the best plan.
Maybe not.
In any case, it's water under the bridge. Adiban has won the game, and we have so many exciting positions. I see many requests in the chat. It's just very difficult to keep up with everyone.
Go on.
But some of the comments suggest that Wesley is not doing very well. So I would like to
Really?
see his game.
Wow. My man Wes, come on. I'm a Wes fan. But yeah, when we left it here, it's true. We were kind of going, hang on.
Yeah, what if
What
knight
is
takes and knight
going on?
c5?
All right, so let's catch up. Somehow I had faith in him. Wes, don't let me down. There's someone crying out Beatles songs from the next desk. I burst into song, but I think it would shock our audience. So we left the position around about here. Wow! Instead of taking with the knight, as I thought was pretty good. Sorry, I'm bouncing around. We were looking at knight takes bishop.
Yes. What happened instead of that move?
And Krishna has played bishop takes bishop. Not worried about the check on h8.
All right, because his king can go to f7, and indeed he went to f7 even without the check, just so that his rook could come to the h-file.
But it's true. I don't like Wes's structure here.
Yeah, what is this position with the king on e1? He doesn't really have a way to place his king in safety.
Let's see.
The king now cut on the d-file. Yeah, Anish Giri is also checking this position. I can understand. There's quite a lot of interest in seeing if Wesley is going down.
I mean, who knows what was going on in that position? It looked like a mess to me, but... Okay, big move, rook h2. Is rook h2 legal here? Can we play rook h2? Oh,
if it's legal.
If it's legal, I'll do it. What's he got up his sleeve? Because the bishop takes care of the e-pawn, so e7, well, who cares? We'll hack the queen off, thank you very much.
Alright, so just to sum up, the queen cannot abandon the protection of the f3 pawn, so queen takes g6, queen takes f3, and that's next move, queen f2 mate. So there's no queen takes g6 in this position. You can't move the queen anywhere else, because there's no g3 square, no g4 square, the queen is basically trapped, queen g1 is just as bad because of queen takes f3. So what can he do?
Knight,
e7,
knight d3
rook takes g2.
has to be the only move.
Okay. Makes sense since both queens are hanging and we can't play anything that is on another square than the b8 h2 diagonal or the h4 square. We need to keep on protecting this rook.
Yeah, but we have a couple of options. One thought is queen d6, another is queen h4. Let me try... the bishop is on pre.
Yeah, this is the thing. So we need to keep the h2 rook under protection, plus we would love to be attacking the f3 pawn or another square around the white king.
Okay, let's get the colour off the board.
Maybe then queen d6 makes sense, since queen takes g6, queen takes d3, king g1. What's that position? We don't have a good second check.
Okay, I think we've discovered why rook h2 isn't winning straight away, so let's have a look. So what did he play? We have a move.
Bishop e8 and knight d3. This bishop e8 seems to be mysterious. Although it has some ideas, the bishop would not be hanging on g6, and c5 bishop b5 was a way to bring the bishop into the attack.
Okay, let's see. Bishop e8 and then knight d3 from Wesley. Okay, so that gets the bishop off prise, you could say. So it's no longer attacked, but has black lost the initiative? I mean, we've kind of bounced into this position and we're kind of trying to get our bearings here, and it is really, really difficult. It looks somehow it did look very suspicious for white.
The moves are being played very quickly, so let's just see what was the last move of black. Queen to d4.
Okay, looks very reasonable to centralize, attack the knight at the same time.
And this is move 40, so both players receive an additional 50 minutes. Remember that the time control is for quality chess. We have 100 minutes for 40 moves, then 50 minutes until move 60, and then extra 15 minutes after move 60, 30-second increment from move 1.
Okay, so I think we're going to go to a tactic of the day with Danny Rensch. I don't know if this is going to appear very soon, because we have a big chess.com team here. We have Fiona as well doing interviews and social media stuff. We also have Danny Rensch, who's again doing interviews and picking out tactics. So I think we're going to roll that now with a bit of luck.
Let's go to Danny.
Our first tactic of the day from the 2018 Chess.com Isle of Man International comes to us courtesy of a British legend, that being the man himself, Mickey Adams. Now in this position, white has prepared the potential of a kingside attack. Mickey played the move rook to f3, which of course has nasty ideas of bringing another rook into the attack and sneaky ideas of this rook perhaps doing some devastating things, especially if white can dislodge black's defensive setup. Well, here black played a move that leads to our key tactic, and normally it might be an instructive one. When you're getting outplayed on one side of the board, a very common piece of chess advice is to change the nature of the game by opening the center. Black played the move d5. Mickey Adams took quickly, for those of you following the game live right now, and after bishop takes d5, it's pretty easy to draw the conclusion that Ariel Ehrenberg, Mickey Adams' opponent, missed the next move that was coming, that Michael Adams did not. Knight to d2, exclam. Retreating the knight, surprisingly opening up a discovered attack. There's our tactic against the bishop, but also pointing out that black cannot take this rook as much as black might want to, because after the knight takes, the queen will be overwhelmed. Moving to either f6 or d8 will hang yet a second minor piece for the tower on f3, and white's attack will only continue. With that in mind, the move knight to d2 was not met by bishop takes f3. Ariel Ehrenberg has just played the move bishop to b7, after which Mickey Adams did exactly what we would expect him to do after finding this very nice tactic. The newly opened a2 to g8 diagonal, as well as the f-file, means that nothing is more logical than rook a to f1, and with the power building up and the potential of the attack getting crazy, due to this key find by Mickey Adams, we're expecting white to go on and win a very nice game. Back to you, Danny and Anna.
Good stuff from Danny, and we're still kind of ruminating over this position that Wesley So has. Wesley So against CRG Krishna. I'm afraid we only have the initials, but our friend Mr. Krishna is playing a blinder as black, it looks like. Wesley with the move here, and his knight is attacked. He could easily lose this, couldn't he? If that bishop, the bishop on e8, manages to bounce into the game. We'll hopefully be able to see that in a second. Yeah, here we go. So knight is attacked, and if that bishop on e8 can maybe bounce into the game, as you mentioned earlier, Anna, coming...
That would be a beautiful square for the bishop, of course, attacking the king on f1. Currently it is white to move. Wesley is thinking.
So, well, let's play kind of the most obvious move on the board, and we'll play knight e5. But then c5.
Yes. It's just what black wanted. Well, he Has he made a move? Because he's not sitting at the board.
Yeah, I've just seen, I think, where's
Okay, Queen E2 was played by Wesley.
which leaves white open to a check. Maybe it doesn't matter because I guess the king will go to g2. Can we continue with our plan? c5? Yeah.
Still makes a lot of sense. Bishop b5, pinning the knight on d3.
If there's nothing better. Maybe he's going to push. And that restricts the movement of the bishop, obviously. That could be the plot. But black is not worse here. I mean, okay, I have no idea the correctness of these moves. But if I gave a check and exchanged rooks, now queen takes knight, so knight takes, and then I played king f7. Well, black is a pawn up here.
He is.
And I think we're going to collect e7 pretty quickly. So, I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer way to play.
He could simply go for this, yes.
Yeah.
Or he can think whether there's anything else.
c4, by the way. We have our own pass pawn.
Also, we have our own pass pawn.
We've got to watch out for a check on e6. Okay, it's still tricky, but I just have a feeling that black is going to should be able to control this. And Wes could be in trouble. Well, we've had a few upsets. So Hikaru is drawn.
He has drawn. Ronak Sadhvani had a very promising attack against Vishy Anand, but it seems that he didn't find the most precise moves, and Vishy is in control and will win the endgame most likely. I think Jovanka Huska has finished her game against Boris Gelfand.
Ah, okay. Let's get a quick update on Vishy's position.
Vishy's position.
Vishy's position. We left it around here. So Vishy did just grab that pawn. Oh, that's a super solid move. That just feels so unbelievably chunky from our Vish.
The knights are still on the board, but now bishop e3 threatening knight f2. Well, this is a sad finish for the 13-year-old prodigy, but at the same we shall highlight how bravely and fearlessly he has played against the former world champion. So kudos to Ronak. Even if he loses the game, I think this showed that he's got the character to become a top player.
Yeah, absolutely. Anna, I'm just glancing over.
Grishuk next to them, finishing his game against Alan Mary.
Well, it looks like he's won. Let's just check that out very quickly because we didn't. There's so much going on. We didn't touch his game at all. Let me just bounce to that game very quickly. Grishuk did indeed win. Let me just get that up on the board. That's the final position with Grishuk a piece up, if I'm not mistaken, with a pass b pawn. That looks pretty convincing. Let's just take the final.
Yeah, the last few moves when he won the piece. He's already a piece up here.
Okay, let's go back a little bit further. So that position with Grishuk a pawn up. I see. Alan Murray ditched a piece.
For some attack, but only a queen will not make a miracle.
Yeah, I'm afraid that one was pretty simple. Polished that one off very easily, so I don't know what was going on there.
So
it
win
looked a bit desperate.
Grishuk. I think another game that finished was between my best friend Sobika Goramishvili and Vladislav Kovalev.
Okay, let's take a look now.
That was board 27.
Okay. Give me a shout when you spot it.
Yeah, just below Adiban.
Ah.
Remember here we thought she might go for queen takes f5 in this position, but in the end I think she chose something else. So pico.
Ooh.
Oh, the final position looks very painful.
Let's just see here. It went h6. I'm a little bit suspicious of that, I must say.
Oh, that's not one of our candidates. We thought either knight d7 or queen takes f5. Might be too slow to play h6.
Looks like it. And it makes no odds that the king has moved. In fact, the king is safe. It's the light square control is absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I think that was a really important moment actually.
Yes.
And h6 looked a bit slow, whereas white's play looks extremely fast.
Too fast.
Actually, a very nice game by white, by Mr. Kovalev.
Painful to me.
Yeah, I mean, let's just have a quick look. If bishop takes g7, then we've got f6, and if that's not taken, well, I guess something is pretty nasty is going to happen on the h file fairly quickly. Yeah, okay, convincing victory for white.
Yes, fortunately it's not always about surprises, so we are seeing some upsets, but in this game Sopiko could not produce an upset. Of course, I'm still rooting for her and for her husband, who is a pawn down against Alina Krasninskaya on board 2.
Should we check it?
Yes.
Oh, it's already drawn.
Drawn already, so
Already drawn.
Anish Giri could not win either. You picked Hikaru to win the tournament. He drew his first round game. I picked Anish Giri. He also could not win in the first round. Doesn't mean anything yet. There are 8 rounds left, but it's not an impressive start for some of the top players. Surprises.
So it went king d3, g4 from Anish. That means he's prevented white from playing f3, and that when the king comes over, I see, he just gave lots of checks to prevent white from playing b4. I suppose an interesting moment would be what happens if king e5 instead of just making a draw, because after b4 then that looks like pretty serious counterplay.
He decided not to go for it. He kept on giving checks.
Yeah, I mean there must be a good reason. Ah, yeah, just rook a4, and that's very solid because you can play the rook to c4 and start pushing. Yeah, so Anish basically had to make a draw by perpetual check in that position.
Yeah. Another exciting game today has been Vidit. His opponent sacrificed a piece in the opening, then Vidit sacrificed a queen, so it was queen versus 3 minor pieces. I see from the chat that he has missed mate in 16 moves. Is that correct?
Mate in 16.
But well, that's an engine. We are humans, he's a human being, luckily for us.
That suggests to me that he's doing pretty well. Anyway. No, that's not his. Let's have a look. Here we go. Okay, it's irrelevant. Completely irrelevant whether it's mate in 16 or not. Black has a completely winning position with rook, bishop and knight against the lone queen. And this passed pawn not looking too shabby either. c4, the last move. I think it's kind of irrelevant.
With the king on b5, it's difficult to believe that white can survive. So it's a rook and 2 pieces for the queen, plus this e3 passed pawn.
Well, what if I give a check? I don't care where the king goes. Okay, we'll take the pawn, whatever. Now, I want to get out of the pin, and I want to push this pawn. Now, which do we do first? I'm going to push the pawn. And, queen e5. I lose my pawn. I don't lose my pawn. I'm just talking to myself, Anna.
Sure. Do we need a break?
I think we need a break. And followed by King F7 and Rook E6. Yeah, I mean it's very straightforward. It's winning for black. I mean,
yeah, there are many ways to win it. So guys, don't worry just because Vidi didn't play the move that leads to mate in 16. He's not an engine. He's gonna win this because his position is winning. Even if he wins in 22 moves, nothing happens.
Okay, I think we're going to take a short break, and afterwards we've got interviews with Levon Aronian and Nigel Shaw. Oh, we're going to go right now.
Oh, fantastic. Interviews now.
Brilliant.
So we're with our top seed, Levon Aronian, who was also one of the first players today to win his game. Levon, well done. Can you tell us what happened, please?
Well, the game basically was revolving around move 8. I think my opponent, when I played c4, he should take on d4, knight d4, queen c4. As I thought was the principled way to play, and I don't know, I think I analyzed something like this some time ago. Bishop d3, white has some compensation, looked interesting during the game, but black can't just allow white to develop in a comfortable fashion. And I think my opponent allowed that, and then his position was slightly unpleasant, and I think he blundered something later. So as it happens in many games normally in Fischer Random, the way you set up the position, the way you get out of the opening basically determines the game.
It's your first time in the Isle of Man. Can you tell us a few words about what motivated you to come here, and also what your first impressions of the place and the tournament are?
Well, a year ago I wanted to come here because it's a strong open tournament, and many people told me it's very nice. But I couldn't because I had a wedding to attend to, my own. So this year I had the time, and I'm very happy I came. The island looks very beautiful, so I'm excited to be here.
I referred to you as our top seed at the start of the interview, but in fact you have the same exact rating as Anish Giri and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Is this something that matters to you, or how do you feel about the rating race?
Yeah, rating matters for me. It shows the current form, and I have lost a lot of rating this year, so I definitely want to regain it and get in a decent position, rating-wise.
I saw you exchange a smile with Anish at the end of the round. Was that something you can tell us about, or a private joke?
No, not much. I think he realized that his opponent is playing well, so we both smiled because we realized that he might have difficulty to win today.
Great. Thank you very much for your time, and best of luck. We're now joined by Grandmaster Nigel Short, also newly elected FIDE Vice President. Newly appointed FIDE Vice President. Nigel, congratulations on both these things. Let's first talk about your game today. You beat your compatriot James Jackson. What happened in the game?
I don't think I played very well, to be honest. I'm extremely rusty. Actually, I just have not been thinking about playing chess at all. So this was very difficult for me sitting there. I've been playing some blitz and bullet chess even, but this is not chess really. It's completely different when you sit down for several hours. So it was very difficult for me to find my way. I think I had a bad position. But then he started doing some strange things. And in the end, I won quite convincingly. So, you know, I'm just hoping I can survive the first 2 or 3 rounds. And I believe I will find my form in the event, but I have to play my way into it.
So let's come back to the reasons you have been away from the board. As people out there will probably know, you have been heavily involved in the FIDE elections, which took place in Batumi just a couple of weeks ago. You have been appointed vice president by Arkady Dvorkovich. So tell us a bit about your experience and how you see FIDE going forward.
Well, I think it's a fantastic opportunity to change things. I mean, I ran for FIDE president, and I had a certain amount of support, but it was very clear that I didn't have enough support to win. And the penultimate day, actually, I had a meeting with my team, and, you know, we wanted to bring about change, and clearly we were not going to get change with Macropolis there, who's been there since before the dinosaurs. So decided to back Arkady Dvorkovich. I think he's a he's a highly intelligent man. He's got a lot of energy, a lot of ideas, and there are already some changes. I mean, it's just the beginning, and I think it's just a fabulous opportunity to remold the chess world.
So we shall be looking forward to what's to come. A final question about the tournament. You've played here many times before. How does it feel to be back in the Isle of Man and here in the Villa Marina for the chess in particular?
I'm very happy coming here. So it's it's a very comfortable event for me to play in, and I also, because I live in Greece, it's a great opportunity to come to my country, so I enjoy that as well. I stopped and I saw my son, who's at University College London, so it puts me in a good mood, basically, and it's a nice event. Well, it's actually a great event, to be honest. I mean, it's outstanding. I mean, I'll just tell you one little thing. I met Sergei Karyakin at the airport, and then actually I looked down the list, and so this is the 2016 World Championship finalist, who's seeded 9th or something in the in the UK Open tournament. I mean, it's so bizarre. It's just an indication of how strong it is. Pity we're missing Magnus, but that's quite understandable. And Fabi.
Fabi. Final question. You won the tournament back in 2014. What are your ambitions this year?
Look, just to play some reasonable chess, I would like to gain a few ELO points, to be honest, because right now my rating has sunk so low that I'm sort of floating around the 100 level. So sometimes I'm down just outside the top 100 and sometimes just inside. So I'd like to have a little bit of a cushion. I feel that the top 100 is where I belong, so I'd like to get back there.
Well, thanks a lot for your time and best of luck with that.
Thank you.